Flags on the field. It's a miracle. Tennessee has pulled a miracle.
Welcome into the Feels Like 99 podcast, the home of your 6-3 Tennessee Titans. I am your host, Drake Kizer, and I am joined today by my co-host, Caleb Waters.
Welcome into episode number 5, the Kerry Collins episode.
It is the Kerry Collins edition, episode number 5, and we are actually joined today by a very special guest, Mr. Andrew Waters.
Hey, I'm Caleb's little brother. Not so little, actually. Junior in high school here in Hendersonville. Play football. Just excited to join the podcast today.
How dare you, little jabroni, come on the Rock Show and not even have the class to introduce yourself? What is your name?
I'm Caleb.
It doesn't matter what your name is!
You gotcha. That way.
So, Caleb, what do you think about having your brother on the podcast today?
I felt that this was a great opportunity for the Feels Like 99 podcast brand to spread a little bit further than it has. My brother's been a listener since not too long ago when we dropped episode 1. I thought it was time where we got a special guest appearance on here. And, you know, my brother likes the Titans just as much, if not more than I do. And, you know, I just thought it was a good opportunity for everybody, honestly, just to get everything going.
Yeah, I feel like it was time to go ahead and get a guest on here, and I feel like it lined up perfectly to get the episode 5 rolling with, you know, a little bit of a special edition. This one's actually going to drop on Thursday, the actual Thursday. The Titans are going to play on Thursday night football against the Steelers. So I really do. I think this is going to be a very special episode, and in that same spirit, we actually have a special little segment here. We're not sure if our listeners have ever heard of Clicks to Hitler, but it's a game that a lot of people play on the internet, you know, to kill time at work, in the office, or whatever. And what you do to play the game is you go to a random Wikipedia page, and there's actually a special link that you click to just generate a random page. And then from there, you just try to get as few clicks as you possibly can in order to get to Hitler's Wikipedia page. But since this is a Titans podcast, we decided we were going to play that game, but we were trying to get the fewest clicks to Marcus Mariota. So, Andrew, how many clicks did it take you to get to Marcus Mariota?
It took me a total of 5 clicks to get to Mariota. I started off with the Elvis song. So my first click was rock and roll. So that's
You didn't click on Tennessee?
Yeah, exactly.
Boy,
Tennessee,
you got that 2 clicks.
Sorry. Rock and roll took me to country. Country took me to Nashville. And Nashville took me to the Titans. So actually that makes 4 clicks. I miscounted. So 4 clicks to Mariota.
How did it take you? I'm calling on that.
You know I'm being dead.
If it started with Elvis, and that would be easy. You click on Memphis, and you're already 1 click away.
Yeah, you could be like, the Titans played 1 year in Memphis. You could have got it in 2 clicks.
Dude, I didn't even look that hard.
Caleb, how many did it take you to get to him?
It took me 10 clicks.
10, okay.
Yeah, 10 clicks. It started, I don't remember my the exact name of my random page, but I do know that it was the birthplace of Sir Isaac Newton.
Okay.
From this, I scrolled all the way down to the references of his page and started from the bottom to look up. Then I got to the U.S. Declaration of Independence, where I clicked on, I believe it was John Hancock. And then I clicked on, I think I clicked on Boston. And then I scrolled down to Boston professional sports teams. I clicked on NFL. Eventually scrolled down to the Titans. And then I clicked on the Titans, their official roster for this year. And there he was.
There he was. And so it actually took me 7 clicks to get to Mariota. My starting page was Jose Diasanyo Cicernos, who was a Venezuelan something, I don't know. And so my next click was the Venezuelan War of Independence. My second click was Spanish-American Wars of Independence. Then I went to Hispanic America, United States, Oregon Ducks, and then Marcus Mariota. So that was 7 clicks for me to get to Marcus.
That's a much different path that Andrew and I took. I didn't even think about doing that, not even worrying about the Titans.
I thought I would get a Marcus Mariota link on like the state of Oregon, but I actually had to go to actual Oregon Ducks to get it. So
Yeah, that was a solid approach there.
it was a little bit different than the one you guys took. You guys were a little more Tennessee oriented.
Yeah, we're not all nerds, dude.
Yeah, exactly.
Outside the box.
Yeah, you got to be unconventional if you want to get there. A true football guy move is to be really unconventional in everything you do.
You know, another unconventional move that I saw this weekend was the Titans secondary getting burnt for a 70-yard touchdown with 3 minutes to go in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, exactly. That leads us into our second topic of the week here. We finished up our fun and little game. But this week's game against the Bengals was the Titans' 4th straight win. DeMarco Murray had 3 touchdowns. And like Caleb said there, an awful touchdown in the fourth quarter given up to A.J. Green. And, you know, A.J. Green really didn't do too much against us, but LaFell was the main one that just tore us up.
Yeah, dude, his name, I kept forgetting where he played, and I'm still not even sure I could tell you where he played prior to Cincinnati, but, okay. So he played from 2010 to 2013 with the Carolina Panthers, 2014 and 2015 with the New England Patriots, and last year and this year with the Cincinnati Bengals.
So he's a Patriots guy. That's where I remember him.
Yep, I don't remember him from anywhere else. But, yeah, man, he had a great game against us. But that being said, I felt like our secondary played outstanding.
It wasn't quite the performance that we've seen in the past couple weeks, I guess, from Cyprian. And I thought Logan Ryan played solid, but not, up to what he's been playing these past couple of weeks, especially he really played well against the Ravens. So he took a little bit of a step back this week. Same with Byard, obviously no interceptions or anything. But, it was a pretty solid performance overall. And obviously we were able to come away with the victory, so that's always a good performance.
I just want to point out that you're having a good season when with Byard, it's a disappointment if you go a game without any interceptions.
Exactly. We're talking about a sag when Byard didn't have a pick, when this dude is still leading the NFL with 6. So
he should have had one at the end of the game.
That's what I said. I thought him and Ryan got tangled up a few times on a couple of those. I'm like, man, he almost had a few.
As well as our secondary played, they could always play a little bit better. I thought, DeMarco Murray had a huge game. I thought our offensive line played well. Andrew, how do you think our offensive line played? Since you are a offensive lineman and you understand techniques and, all that good stuff.
A true hog.
Well, I didn't actually get to sit down and watch too much of the game, so I was listening to most of it. So I didn't get to visually break anything down, but it seemed like they protected Mariota pretty good most of the game. Still got to clean it up a little bit as always, but
I feel like Quentin Spain being out for the second or third consecutive week and Brian Schwenke playing in his place definitely hurts the line overall, because I feel like a line is a very cohesive unit, and when that one key piece is missing, Schwenke is a guy that has familiarity with our system, but I just feel like his skill level is not quite up to where Spain's at. So
I think all you need to know about Brian Schwenke is his last name. That should tell you all you need to know.
That's what I'm saying. A few stats for you guys to digest. The Titans have actually climbed to 10th in the NFL in the red zone after being 31st a few weeks ago. So that shows you we're getting back to being able to really punch the ball in the end zone, which in the first few weeks of the season we were absolutely terrible at doing. So how are you guys feeling about our red zone performance the past couple of weeks?
Well, like we've said in previous podcasts, it's so easy to disagree with Terry Robisky and Mike Mularkey's calls. I think they've done, especially this past week, a tremendous job of calling plays to strengths, utilizing everybody, especially in the red zone. DeMarco Murray had 3 touchdowns. I really think that's all you need to know to understand that our red zone offense has gotten up a million times better than it was.
And to build off of that, red zone production really, to me, started turning around in the second half of that awful Monday night Colts game. Because in the first half of that game, they couldn't punch it in. They were getting field goals. And finally, they did what I've been saying to do all year. Line it up and run it straight behind Lawan until they get tackled for a loss of 5 or something. And when you're able to do things like that and just stuff it down their throat, that opens up like Mariota on a bootleg or things like that. And it all starts with running the ball downhill.
Going off of what he's saying, speaking of Mariota in the red zone and running bootlegs and stuff, he took a nasty hit on a little scramble. I'm not sure if our listeners have seen. I know Drake and I spoke about it earlier today. Andrew, have you seen the hit that he took?
I don't believe I have.
Drake, would you like to give a little rundown on what happened there?
Well, so basically, it was coming down toward the end of the game. It was on that game-winning drive, which was absolutely masterful by the offensive play callers and just everything. It was perfectly well executed and everything like that. But Mariota took quite a lick coming towards the sideline, and he got up a little bit slow. He looked a little bit shaken up. His head kind of slammed on the ground. They kind of grabbed him from around his ankles, and his head slammed onto the grass. And he got up. He seemed like he was fine, and he kept on playing and went on about the rest of the drive completely fine. Obviously, we punch it in. We take the go-ahead score with DeMarco Murray right there. But he comes off the field onto the sideline after the touchdown, and he just looks really winded. And Marcus is a guy that sometimes has to get oxygen and stuff like that. He does get short of breath sometimes, so that's nothing really too unusual. But he was really, really coughing and really seemed like pretty shaken up. And there was a very telling shot on the sideline where he took a few coughs, and it looked like he was spitting out blood. So a lot of people were very concerned about him, thought he might have a concussion or, some internal bleeding or something like that. But he seemed like he was fine in the press conference and everything after the game. So, fans overreact to everything, but who knows what it really was.
Yeah, speaking of another concussion that happened in the game, Pac-Man Jones, the hit that he tried to take on Marcus where he kind of hit his hip, I guess, is what happened, and he got knocked out of the game. I don't know if very many people have noticed this either. Mike Mularkey ended up using one of the Titans. I think we had 2 timeouts left to make sure Marcus could stay in the game, because I think he knows, as we've said on this podcast previously, how much of an X factor that Marcus is when compared to Matt Castle. I think that was a big timeout. And now if he did have a concussion, I do have a problem with what happened.
Yeah, I don't know if either of you guys saw in the Colts game where Jacoby Brissett got absolutely clobbered on a 3rd down. And so they punt the ball away because, it's obviously his 4th down, whatever. But he had to be helped off the field on that 4th down. And he was not looking very good at all. But then he comes in on the very next drive and is clearly concussed. He threw 2 or 3 incompletions and then ended up with a pick. And it just looked absolutely awful, not like himself at all. My thing is the concussion protocol this year, especially with the whole Russell Wilson incident like we've talked about, not even coming out on that play, it's a little bit of a joke at this point.
Yeah, you see it almost too much, and you saw that the Seahawks actually got fined a sum of money for violating it. And I think that if this keeps happening, something's got to be done. And, I've had a pretty nasty concussion in the past, and I don't know how those guys do it. I don't know how you can go back out there after smacking the back of your head on the ground and go out there and do what they do.
I was just about to ask Andrew, actually, would you know if your quarterback came into the huddle and he was obviously shaken up like that? Like, would you be able to tell as an offensive lineman that maybe he's not making the play calls correctly, or maybe he just seems a little bit out of sorts? Like, would that be something that you'd pick up on?
Yeah, I think it'd probably be obvious. Knock on wood here. I've never had a concussion myself, so I don't know exactly what it feels like, what's going on. But, yeah, you got to imagine having some pretty complicated formations and play calls that he couldn't get the signal, process it, and then address the huddle properly. So I think everybody would probably know that something's going on.
Yeah, I was just about to say, like, I would think that his teammates, especially the way that they try and take care of him and everything else like that, if they really thought something was wrong with Marcus, I don't think they'd want him in the game.
Definitely not. I mean, you see what a true bond that offensive line has with Marcus. And they would, especially Taylor Lewan, would definitely not let that happen. So I don't even know if anybody's been asked about it.
That's the thing. I feel like nobody asked in the press conference either, because it seemed like it blew up a little bit once the press conference and everything was already over, because Paul Kaharski was at the game. But a lot of fans and stuff were tweeting at him like, did you see Marcus on the sideline spitting up blood? It looked like on TV and stuff like that. And obviously he's like, well, no, I didn't see the broadcast. And all I know is that he seemed fine in the press conference. But I didn't ask him that question because I had no idea that was even a concern. Quarterbacks take hard hits all the time. But if they seem fine in post-game and everything, I mean, you got to assume at least that he's good at hiding it if there really was something going on.
Do you guys think that if there were symptoms that he would play this Thursday?
Define symptoms, like dizzy or...
So a few of the symptoms that I had when I had a concussion, I was a senior in high school, and I got lit up like no other. And I don't remember exactly how long I was out. I definitely blacked out because I remember seeing the ball in front of my face. It was a pooch kickoff, and I ran up and called the fair catch. And yeah, you go ahead and laugh. And next thing I know, Coach Hatfield's asking me if I'm okay. I remember laying on my back looking straight up, and it was like a super bright light, like I was laying on an operating table. It was so bright. All I could see was Coach Hatfield and other coaches that had come over to check on me. Like, Coach Hatfield and his staff tried to help me stand up, and immediately I knew, I can't even stand up. So I felt like I couldn't speak. Like, words weren't coming out of my mouth right. He asked me what was wrong, and I didn't even know what to say. So once I got back to Paul's, I just laid there, and my head was just absolutely killing me, and it didn't stop hurting for a couple of weeks. I couldn't really do any schoolwork. It took me a little bit to even read things. So I don't know if you guys have felt symptoms like that yourselves, but I would imagine that it's not easy to coordinate an offense with a concussion.
One of my teammates actually got a concussion earlier this year, and the way he described it was that there was a light switch in his brain and somebody flipped it off. So that's just how he described the feeling of it, and sounds pretty accurate as to what you just told us.
I don't really know that I've ever had a true concussion, but I remember this was one time freshman year where we were doing some hitting drills or something like that, and I got hit head-to-head 2 or 3 different times in the same drill, and I just know that every time that my helmet would collide with the other player's helmet, everything I saw would go it was like I was seeing colors. So everything would go green, or everything would go blue, or everything every hit was a different color. That's the closest I think I've ever been to a concussion. I'm sure there was some lingering symptoms.
Dude, I think that was a concussion. Dude, you might have CTE right now, man.
I was literally seeing out of rose-colored glasses.
He's seeing out a kaleidoscope.
Quavo.
I was torn up, but I didn't really have any lingering type symptoms of anything like that. But I just know from other injuries that I have had that, I really tore up my shoulder senior year, and I've broken a couple fingers and stuff like that. So I just know that dealing with any injury that kind of lingers with you, and that's not even in your head. So I can't even imagine how an injury to your brain like that does stick with you, because I know how much of a mental thing it is when you have injuries on just your other body parts. So if that's going on in your brain, I'm sure that if Marcus was having those type of symptoms, that there'd be no way that he'd be able to play.
Speaking of lingering injuries, do you think everyone will play this week against the Steelers on Thursday night?
I'm not totally sure, but I think Quentin Spain is going to be able to make it back this week. Malarkey said that he was able to be a full participant in practice and everything like that. So I think that he's going to try and play this week. And I also think that Mariota is completely fine, obviously not having any type of symptoms or anything like that. So I guess he's cleared. Murray, Henry, everyone else, I think they're all good. No type of injuries that I can remember from the game either. So we should be completely good. I guess everybody will be playing on Thursday night.
That's always great to hear. I do have a question for Andrew. You've suffered a similar injury to what Quentin Spain is going through right now. How hard is it to play on a not fully healthy extremity when it's especially a foot or ankle?
So with a lower body injury like that, it's always difficult because there's a lot of rehab you got to do. I sprained my ankle back in the spring, and it was when things were warming up, so it was time for pool basketball. It took me forever to get back to that, and I can't imagine trying to get back to a football game. It's a whole nother level.
Drake, have you ever experienced any foot or toe injury?
Not really. I don't think I've ever had to deal with any type of ankle injury or toe or anything like that. Mine was always more upper body. I've had to deal with some finger injuries and stuff like that, but no, never any lower body extremities were hurt for me, thankfully.
Have either of you viewed the practice report for the Steelers?
I know I read something on Sunday about how Joe Hayden he did not play last week, and I think another one of their guys went down in the secondary. So hopefully, anyway, for us on Thursday, maybe that Steelers secondary will be a little bit thin, and we won't have to deal with the full force of that vaunted Steelers defense.
Definitely. Oh, we totally skipped over a topic that I really was looking forward to talking about. Vontaze Burfict ejected was it the first quarter? And I read that it was his first career ejection. I cannot believe that.
That's what I'm saying. I know he's been fined and suspended and other stuff like that. It really did surprise me to know that he'd never actually been kicked out of a game for anything.
Definitely, especially with that hit on Steelers wide receiver Antonio Brown. I guess it was 2 years ago. It's pretty wild. I mean, I never saw exactly what he did to the official. I did see him come on top of, I think it was Schwenke or maybe even Ben Jones.
It was Schwenke, actually. Burfict actually stomped on his arm.
So he stomped on his arm, and then do you have any idea what he did to the official? Did he push him or?
Yeah, basically the official kind of just came in and was trying to just get him out of there, and basically he just kind of pushed him away. Not pushed him, I guess, but if you touch the official at all, that's an automatic ejection.
It's almost like he bucked up on him, I think.
Yeah, it kind of was something like that, almost like get off me kind of thing.
Yeah, then he is leaving the field of play and then gets into it with the fan in the stands.
That was wild.
I don't know what was said, but I would absolutely love to hear the audio on that.
Yeah, really.
That's a thug being a thug, man.
To say the least.
Yeah, I don't know. He's just one of those players. Like, I don't want a guy like that to change his style of play, because honestly, that's more dangerous. Because if he started playing a different way, and he could injure himself or someone else even worse if he was trying too hard to hit, differently or whatever. So I want him to keep playing the way that he plays, because I like a tough guy, a hard-nosed player, but man, he's just some of the things that he does are just so outrageous. Like, it's not even football plays, it's something else.
He's like that guy that wants to be the enemy.
Exactly.
Like, he wants you to hate him. And that's just never made sense to me.
Well, see, Andrew, I was going to ask you something. They asked Schwenke how he felt about Burfict stomping on him and just kind of overall being just a little bit difficult to play against. In your experience, have you played against anybody like that was just really talking, or maybe was trying to intentionally injure you, or just anything like that?
Actually, I do have a story. Freshman year, we were playing a game on the road, and I just pancaked this one dude. I might reserve because I took my time getting up, and I caught an elbow to the nuts.
Cool.
100% intentional. And I don't even remember what I said, but I said something talking smack. I was like, yeah, I'm going to be doing that all night. And the ref came over and was like, what's going on? I was like, you just elbowed me in the nuts. I think the ref's response was like, well, you should wear a cup.
Wow.
We were playing on the road, so.
And that was freshman, too.
Yeah, other than that, I've never really, especially varsity, I've been fortunate enough to, not have problems with guys trying to intentionally injure. And most smack talking comes from rivals, and that's why we're just taught to let the play do the talking.
Yeah, I think that's the right thing to do. I mean, nobody likes a loudmouth player. Like someone like, a Jalen Ramsey or something like that. Like players like that just get on my nerves. Like just play the game. You know what I mean? Like stuff like that. Like I don't need to hear you talk in the media and whatever else. Like let your play do the talking. And his play does talk, but he talks even louder. So how did you guys feel about Adoree Jackson getting 7 snaps this week on offense? Actually got multiple carries and actually looked really, really good. Not only, we were a little bit kind of in the middle of the field when we got him that carry against the Ravens, but we were all over the field with these carries against the Bengals. So how do we feel about mixing in a primarily defensive player? He's also our kick returner, obviously, but primarily defense. How do we feel about him coming into some of these offensive schemes?
I love it. I think it's what Adoree wants to do, and I think, if it helps the offense open up a little bit more, which it obviously has, I think you should do it as much as you can. With that being said, you don't want to take away from his defensive abilities because you're much more likely to get hurt running the ball than you are defending a pass, but I would like to see them throw in a couple of a trick play that I saw Tennessee run a few years ago, in like a double throwback pass to just send a guy out wide like Adoree for a decoy. I mean, he's a great decoy. I mean, he's effective even when he doesn't have the ball, and you don't get that enough with this offense.
Well, you pretty much took the basis of what I was going to say, but to add on to that, that diamond formation, I really like seeing that because it adds an extra wrinkle, something else that the opposing team has to put on their scouting report that they got to worry about. And, I mean, dude's electric. He just tears it up all over the field. I love it.
Yeah, I think he's just a dynamic guy. Like, he's just one of those guys that one of those other total football guy commentary, they always say, you want to get the balls in the hands of your best players, and that's really what we're trying to do with someone like Adoree Jackson. He's just so he really is. He's a lightning rod in the open field. He's got that burner speed, and, if he gets a little bit of a crease, he can bust through for 20 yards when someone else might could only get 5 or 10. So, I really do. I like that he's getting more involved in the offense. And one of this podcast's favorite players, Taywan Taylor, got a little bit more involved in the offense this week, especially on that absolutely perfect first drive that everybody's talking about.
Absolute beautiful play calling, to say the least, man. Taywan Taylor should definitely be one of the first couple guys to get the ball in the game every game.
Yeah, I do. I feel the exact same way. We all know that he's one of my, kind of favorite guys from going up here at Western, but he really is. He is a playmaker, and, I feel like that the more this offense tries to get him involved, the better that we're going to be overall because, any offense just needs more playmakers than just a couple. Let's see. Marcus Mariota on third down this year. That's one thing we definitely got to talk about. Our third down percentage is steadily getting a little bit better, but Marcus Mariota is just almost moving out of the bottom 5 worst rated quarterbacks as far as rating on third down. He's sitting at 65 right now. And, the tops in the league is Carson Wentz right now with 125. So that's literally double Mariota on third down. So, we're trending in that right direction. It's just I feel like there's definitely still some room for improvement on offense. Where do you guys think that the main area that we can still improve is?
I would say, like I've said in almost every episode that I can remember, getting Derrick Henry the ball is absolutely crucial to this offense. Especially when they run 2-back sets, it's pretty much unpredictable what they might do with as much motion as they put into the offense. I think once they get, more in detail about doing that kind of stuff, it'll open up everything else.
Yeah, and depending on the situation, if it's like 3rd and 4, 3rd and 5 or shorter, I would maybe like to see that diamond formation a little more, bring in Adoree, have your big power back and shift your back with Henry and Murray, and just there's a million different ways you can get a first down out of that formation.
Yeah, I really do. I like it a lot. And one thing that I definitely did not like, though, in this Bengals contest was the Corey Davis fumble that actually costed us a touchdown. Terrible, terrible. Terry Robisky, our offensive coordinator, actually said that it was one of the worst plays that he'd ever seen. So, and he was really kind of putting Corey Davis on blast today at practice. But he did say that Corey's very, very coachable, and if you tell him something, that he will get it. So, I feel like that it's just one of those kind of rookie mistakes. Benny Cunningham for the Bears actually did something very similar, reaching out for the pylon and fumbling, and it ended up in a touchback, kind of the exact same thing. I feel like it really is just an issue, kind of the high and tight thing. But, where do you guys feel like that Corey Davis is at in his development as a Titan?
I think he is at step -1. I don't think we've seen anything from him yet. And I think the fumble that he had was a total fluke, and it was just an effort play. But I think it's definitely only going to get better.
Corey Davis has had some injury troubles this year, hasn't he? I also think that could be a factor holding him back. And also, like you said, with a rookie mistake, I mean, rookies don't make rookie mistakes, and that's his one slip-up, though.
Yeah, I feel like overall he hasn't really done anything like too crazy or outlandish to really like mess something up or anything like that. So, you give a guy a little bit of a pass. I mean, Rishard Matthews dropped that wide open touchdown earlier in the game, and I feel like fans didn't necessarily pile on him too much about that one. So, when you're a veteran guy, you get a little bit more of a pass. And, as Davis matures, I feel like he'll be making a lot more big plays than he will mistakes. So Jim Wyatt tweeted today some of the rankings for the Titans. Our offense is 18th overall. We're 7th rushing, but 27th in the pass. And defense, we're 17th overall, 6th against the rush, but 19th against the pass. And like we've talked about, that Texans game really hurt our rankings defensively. And overall, we've not been able to pass the ball very well. But we're defending the run, and we are running the ball both very effectively. So, how do we feel about where the Titans are at offensively right now and defensively?
I couldn't feel better about the Titans defense, to be completely honest with you guys. I think they're playing great football. I think the linebackers, especially Wesley Woodyard, has been outstanding. I think, the offense is always going to have room for improvement. Until they start putting up about 30 to 40 points a game, which I think personally they're capable of, I don't think that I'll be satisfied at all with their performance, just because I feel like they should have won this Bengals game by 20 points. The Bengals played very, very well, but we played very, very bad. And I think that's something that Coach Malarkey and his staff will work to correct this week in practice.
Yeah, expanding on that, those stats right there tell you that the box is looking pretty good. O-line, D-line's playing hard. O-line's been taking steps forward as the season's progressed and protecting Mariota. Linebackers are playing outstanding. And just feeling pretty good about the team right now on the 4-game win streak.
Yeah, I think that's the most important stat right now is we have won 4 straight. They may not all be convincing wins or, great contests or anything like that, but a win is a win. We are trending in the right direction as far as just being able to win close games and, everything like that. So you really do feel a bit of confidence moving into this Thursday night against the Steelers, which will be a very tough contest. And, I wanted to get you guys' opinion. There's been a lot of talk this year with some injuries and stuff like that. Obviously, Sherman went out last week. I know we probably like playing on Thursday nights because it's something special and whatever else, but do we have any worries or anything about on this short week that maybe there might be some injury concerns for some of our guys or maybe even the Steelers,
I definitely do with the older guys. And you saw, even Richard Sherman can be considered an older guy. 4 days rest in the NFL is not long enough, but I think with the Titans having a lot of young players, I think it's going to be kind of an adjustment for them to get used to the short week, but I think our leadership will help us. I am afraid that we'll lose a guy or two this week, unfortunately, because it is a Thursday night game. But I don't think we have in the past, so what do you guys think about this?
I was just thinking, being in high school, that'd be the equivalent of my team playing on a Friday and then being asked to play again on Tuesday night, which that just sounds crazy because not only is it not time for your body to heal up and get ready, but it's not time to prepare for the team ahead. Like, you just got to jump straight into it almost.
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel too. Like a lot of the times these Thursday games are higher scoring and everything like that, and that's not necessarily because of two great teams playing or anything like that. It's just because teams aren't prepared as far as game planning. A lot of teams will maybe bust out just some of their trick plays and just gadget stuff because they really haven't had time to put in anything new. So the only wrinkles that they have are just some of their little special stuff that they try to break out throughout the season. And it really does lead to a lot of injuries because, like we've all been saying, it's just not enough time. Like, it really is a insanely quick turnaround. And I think Caleb had a good point about how it really affects the older guys because they have lingering injuries from previous seasons. Like, not even just this season, like they've got mileage on their body that extends way past just a couple of years. So, but a guy like Marcus, who is, I don't want to say he's fragile or he's injury prone or anything like that, because I really don't think he is. I just think he's had a lot of bad luck. But, someone like that playing on a short week, and we have done it a lot, but it does. It always worries me. It's always a little bit scary. And, I do. I just tense up a little bit when he gets hit anymore, just because I really do not want to see him go down.
And I've got one more comment about Thursday Night Football. I've been loving the color rush and whatnot. It's been cool the past 2 years, but I'm ready to see some throwbacks on Thursday night. What do you guys think about that?
I actually agree with that completely. I think it would be so cool. And I really do. I like the all powder blue look, but what if it was all powder blue look but Oilers? Like, I think that would be sweet. And the Steelers definitely have some throwback stuff they could wear. Hopefully not those atrocious like striped whatever that they wear. Maybe just some older looking ones.
Yeah. Yeah, that's actually a great point. I've talked to me long to know that my favorite uniform combination is anything with light blue pants. But yeah, that would be really cool. Kind of like the Titans did back in like 2009. Yeah. So when we did that, that was really cool. And it'd be cool. And I think like what the NFL tried to do with the color rush is get more viewers to see the uniforms. But if at this point, what is this, the third year with it? So yeah, it's about time for them to transition to something along the lines of that.
Yeah, I definitely do. I think something like that would really pop and would be something else that maybe fans are really asking for, because I do feel like that the color rush is something that fans do like. But at this point, we've pretty much seen all the different colors and everything. Now we're kind of moving into this zone where teams are wearing the all white and everything like that. And that's not very visually exciting. So I think it might be time to get on the throwback,
or at least give the teams another option. Have the Titans in all red, the Steelers in all gold. Just swap it up a little bit more.
All red might be a little much.
I do like red, but it really might be just a little bit too much. But I do like red jerseys though. I that's one thing that we talked about one time we talked about on the podcast, maybe redesigning the Titans and stuff like that. And I'm definitely not opposed to keeping some red in our color scheme, maybe with the redesign next year.
Definitely like to see more red in that uniform.
Me too. So we're going to try and transition here into our final topic of the week, which is obviously this Thursday's contest against the Pittsburgh Steelers. It's been a few years since we played them, actually. The last time that we played them was in 2014 on Monday Night Football with old Met Show at quarterback. But the previous two times that we played them before that, in 2012 and 2013, 2012 was actually a Thursday Night Football game at home, which we won with Hasselbeck at quarterback, playing for an injured Jake Locker. And in 2013, we actually opened the season in Pittsburgh and took that one too. So we've taken 2 out of the last 3 against the Steelers. It's been a few years. They've never played against Marcus Mariota. So we're a radically different team from the one that they saw on Monday night a few years ago. So how do you guys think that we're going to do against these Steelers?
It's tough to tell, man. It really is. The Steelers have played absolutely horrible on the road and pretty good at home. I feel like the Titans have played a little bit better on the road than they do at home, so I'm really excited to watch this game. I'm very excited to watch on Thursday night because I literally don't do anything on Thursday nights except study and do any work that I've got to do. And, I'll maybe watch the Color Rush game, but I always love when they play on Thursday nights.
Yeah, this will be a big game, and I think it will definitely be a big game on a big stage. And honestly, I think it will say a lot about what this team has because the Steelers have been quite dominant this year, to be honest, and I can see them being a team that easily competes for a Super Bowl. This should be a good game against a good team. Titans can come out and prove a lot. It'll be a tough matchup with those terrible towels and whatnot. It's always hard to play in Pittsburgh, but if this team can come out on the road in Pittsburgh against a good Pittsburgh team, I think it could prove a lot to the rest of the league about what they're doing, what they are.
Yeah, I do. I definitely agree that this is – we talk about statement games and games that if you win them, then it's going to show the rest of the league kind of where we're at and who we are. The spread on this game right now, the last time I looked, it was not very close, and it was not in favor of the Titans at all. So it was almost a complete touchdown underdogs we are on the road to the Steelers. And, I know that they've played well this season and everything like that, but I feel like, as always, the national media doesn't give the Titans a lot of credit about where we are. And a lot of outlets still list the Jaguars as leading this division, even though we're in a tie and we would have that tiebreaker because we've beaten them already. So I really do. I just feel like that the Titans don't get that same kind of respect. And then if you don't have that kind of respect, you have to command that kind of respect. And a win on Thursday night in Pittsburgh, the terrible towels and all, the Color Rush, if we can really take that one home with us, then I feel like that the rest of the league will be put on notice that Marcus Mariota and then the rest of the Tennessee Titans are a force to be reckoned with.
Oh, yeah, definitely. It's like we said for the Monday night game against the Colts. We came out and really didn't prove ourselves, and this is, if we're ever going to do it, this is the time.
All right, so with all that talk, I guess it's time that we go ahead and make our predictions for this game. So I guess I'll start off this week. I think that this is going to be a tightly contested game. It's always pretty close against the Steelers. A lot of our last few games against them, it's not like they've been blowouts or anything like that. Big Ben usually has some big runs and stuff like that. We haven't played too many with them since the emergence of Antonio Brown and, the kind of big play threats. They've got Juju Smith-Schuster this year. Le'Veon Bell is, kind of working his way back into the national prominence conversation. And so I feel like that this is going to be a tough game, a tough environment to play. But I think our defense, our linebackers, our secondary are going to keep this one close as far as not letting them score too much. But I think their defense, led by one of my favorite Kentucky players, Bud Dupree,
Boo.
I feel like he might get a couple licks in on Mariota. We hope that those don't, result in any kind of injuries or anything like that. So I do. I feel like they're going to get to him a few times, but I feel like we're going to get to Ben a few times. I feel like this is going to be a grinded-out game on the ground. I feel like Le'Veon Bell and the combination of DeMarco Murray and Derrick Henry have a big game. And I think the Titans will squeak this one out, maybe like the last time on Thursday night, maybe a clutch field goal from Ryan Suckup or something like that. And I think we squeak this one out in Pittsburgh 24-21.
Drake, I agree with some of the things you said. I think the offenses are going to break out a little more, though. I'm going to say Titans defense gives up a couple big plays to the big play makers of the Steelers offense. But I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that against this big, bad, terrible, towel-waving Steeler defense, that this Titans offense is going to start clicking this week, and they're going to put up some points and make some big plays. One thing they must improve on this week is not giving away big plays, like fumbling in the end zone and dropping passes and getting penalties. And if they're able to do that, my prediction is that the Titans pull out a high-scoring victory with a final score of 31-28.
I guess that leaves me for my prediction. I've taken the Titans every week by a freaking landslide. So, Yeah, I'm gonna swap it up a little bit. I love Marcus Mariota as much as the next guy, but it's a Thursday night game. Excuse me. So I'm gonna say Steelers 41, Titans 35.
But wait, there's more. Hang on to your seat, baby.
And this brings us to our newest segment that we started last week, the Atrocious Takes segment, sponsored by Ronald's Napkins. They clean your face. So I guess I can take this one first if you guys want me to. Last week I talked about, Pac-Man Jones doing something absurd. So I'm going to say that this week, Coach Malarkey and Mike Tomlin come to the 50-yard line of Heinz Field, have an arm wrestling match, and then Malarkey punches Tomlin, and then the Titans win 1,000-0. So what are you guys' atrocious takes?
All right, I don't think anybody's ready for this. Most atrocious take of all time right here. I'm going to say, so picture this. It's late in the fourth quarter, and Titans are driving down. Mariota's taking a couple shots during the game, a couple big hits, and Drake's boy, Bud Dupree, comes in a little bit after the whistle. And it should obviously be a flag, but one is not thrown. And here's the atrocious part. Taylor Lewan stays 100% calm and does nothing.
That might be the best one I've heard.
There you go.
Yeah, I think that is pretty atrocious, because if anything happened where there was a flag on Mariota that didn't get thrown, I think Taylor Lewan would probably tackle the ref. I think that'll be my atrocious take number one. There's going to be a late hit or something from maybe James Harrison. Maybe he pulls a Colt McCoy on Marcus Mariota, absolutely destroys him or something, They start a new rule. The concussion protocol basically started from James Harrison absolutely murdering Colt McCoy. So maybe we'll get a little bit more resolution on the concussion protocol from James Harrison murdering Mariota, but hopefully that doesn't happen. My main atrocious take for this week is going to be, instead of playing the game, what we're going to do is see between James Harrison, who is very, very old, as we already know, been playing in the league for a long time. He's going to have a who can hold bows and toes longer with former Steelers defensive coordinator and current Titans defensive coordinator, Dick LeBeau. And so they're going to have a bows and toes competition. Whoever drops first loses the game. And, honestly, I think that Dick LeBeau has a little bit more intestinal fortitude than maybe some people give him credit for.
They will rename it LeBeau and Toes.
Yeah, exactly. He's gonna blow Harrison out of the water. We're not even gonna have to play the game. That's gonna be the compromise they come to. Instead of getting more injuries on Thursday night, we can just have like a punt, pass, and kick competition.
I actually have one more that I would like to say. I want to say the Titans offensive line calls my brother, the special guest on the podcast today, says, "Andrew, we need you to come in and play offensive line for us." He says, "I will gladly do so," and signs the highest paid contract in NFL history. Late in the game, Mariota drops back, gets strip sacked. Andrew picks it up.
I know it's going.
Runs about 2 yards and then gets helicoptered and fumbled, and the Titans lose.
Marshall Newhouse again.
Marshall Newhouse Part 2.
I knew where this was going.
It's going to happen.
Just wait on it.
No senior season. Amateurism gone. Playing in the NFL. That's it.
Yep, you would helicopter like no other.
Then it'll be Chris Collinsworth and Mike Tirico calling the action, so it'll sound great.
Oh, there you go.
Back to my ringtone.
Oh my gosh. Well, I think we're drawing to an end this week, and we definitely want to thank Andrew for coming on the podcast with us. He was a great first guest. It couldn't have asked for anyone better to come on and be our inaugural guest on here, and so we just want to extend our thanks to you.
I really appreciate you guys having me on as your first guest, and hopefully I can make a few more appearances now and then whenever you guys need me. The listeners don't know, but it took us probably an hour to get this set up. But next time you guys need me, it should be a lot quicker, and I'm always here in my room doing nothing. So
yeah, it was quite the battle to go ahead and get it set up. We never had a guest on here, so I didn't even think about maybe telling you exactly how that you needed to kind of prepare and get ready so we're not up at midnight keeping Caleb up all night because I know he's mad.
Nah, I'm not mad.
It's
At this
only
point,
11
I've
here.
given up. At this point, I have given up. I might as well stay up all night. No, Andrew's a great guest today, and like Drake said, we'd like to thank him for coming on. Maybe you could be a recurring guest, similar to Pete Blackburn's role in the Section 10 podcast.
Exactly. We could always have some recurring guests. I know Pardon My Take that I would love to listen to with Big Tat and PFT. They have some recurring guests. So, maybe this could be the start of a great little tradition here on Feels Like 99.
You guys have any final words for the Kerry Collins episode?
No, that's all I got. Appreciate you guys having me on. Tighten up.
Yep, I think that's all I've got for this week, too. So I'll catch you, Caleb, next week to record another one. We might have another Thursday special edition, so our fans need to definitely be on the lookout for that. But that is to be determined when we're going to record next week. But I guess I'll catch you later, Caleb.
All right, man. You've been listening to the Feels Like 99 podcast with Drake Kizer and Caleb Waters. You can find the podcast on Twitter at Feels Like 99 Pod. You can find it on YouTube at Feels Like 99 Podcast. You can find my co-host Drake Kizer on Twitter at Drake Kizer _. You can find myself on Twitter at Caleb Waters _14. You can find our inaugural guest on Twitter at Andrew Waters 78. And last but not least, I would like to remind our listeners, Andrew, you want to do it for me?
Is there something you would not like to do?
I don't know, Drake. Is there something that we shouldn't do to our listeners?
I feel like it has something to do with handcuffs.
Maybe it does. Maybe wouldn't wanna cuff. Yeah.
We want to cuff ya.
So signing off for myself and my co-host Drake Kizer. This is Caleb.
Thanks, ugly God. Thanks, ugly God. Thanks, ugly God. Thanks, ugly God.
No, that's all I have. Appreciate. Oh my God. What did
Did you say appreciate you, cat? Did I hear that correctly?
I can't talk.
He said, appreciate you. That's what it sounded like.